Before we get into this special weekend edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Michael and Dale at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. As communities across South Carolina continue working to improve public safety and support for crime victims, one local police department in the upstate is being recognized for taking an important step forward. The Fountain Inn Police Department has just received the SAFE Designation, a program designed to help law enforcement better understand and respond to victims of sexual assault with professionalism, compassion, and trauma-informed care. Joining us today is Amanda White with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. She's here to explain what the SAFE designation means, why this kind of training matters, and how departments across the state can better serve victims during some of the most difficult moments of their lives. Welcome, Amanda. Good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's start, Amanda, for folks who may not be familiar with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. Give us an overview of the organization and the work that you do across South Carolina.
Okay, well, yeah, we were originally developed in the 80s, so we've been around for a while now. We are a grant-funded organization, and we work on behalf of crime victims statewide just to ensure that they are receiving appropriate services and that they receive justice throughout the criminal justice system.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of someone that you may work with and how that process works? Are they referred to you? How do they know about what you're doing?
So a lot of the times they are referred to us either through law enforcement or through advocacy or even the nurses. They will be the ones to refer them to us. But anyone that is a victim of a violent crime would qualify for our services. So that could be anything from domestic violence, strangulation, sexual assault, even just regular, if there was any type of abuse, any type of assault, armed robbery, all those sorts of things would constitute as violent crimes. There's plenty more underneath of the statutes, but that would be necessary to qualify for our services.
Sure. Yeah. The Fountain Inn Police Department, as I mentioned, just recently received SAFE designation. Amanda, tell us what exactly does SAFE stand for, and what does this recognition mean?
So this is the Sexual Assault Forensic Excellence designation, and we created it in partnership with the Attorney General's Office, with the Hospital Association, and with SLED as a way for agencies to kind of go above and beyond the normal call of duty and ensure that they have received appropriate training and understanding on how to care for victims of sexual assault. And so that training includes things like sexual assault basics, kind of what's in the kit, what to expect, so that they know what they're kind of asking the survivor to go through when they come to the hospital. Understanding what's mandatory reporting versus what's not mandatory reporting, how to preserve evidence until they're able to get that survivor to us, which hospitals in their area may be SAFE designated, as well as things on human trafficking and strangulation are all included in that training.
Yeah. And Amanda, if you would, why is specialized training for responding to sexual assault victims so important for law enforcement agencies today?
Oh my gosh, well, it's huge because, maybe 1 in 4 even report to law enforcement, probably less than that. So when you think about if they already feel like they may have been, in the wrong place at the wrong time or doing something that they shouldn't have or any of those things, there's been a stigma with like victim blaming and those sorts of things. So we just want to make sure that our officers and that anybody that comes in contact with these victims understands that they are just that. It doesn't matter the circumstance. It doesn't matter what happened. They are a victim. And so we need to treat them as that and make sure that we are not, undermining them or taking away any more of their autonomy or making them feel more vulnerable or even more targeted or more traumatized by whatever event they're experiencing because they have experienced already a traumatic event. So making sure that we can kind of be there and be there for them in the most supportive way is huge.
Yeah. Amanda White is my guest today. She's with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. If you could, talk with us a bit about maybe mistakes that departments can unintentionally make when interacting with victims of trauma?
Oh, there's definitely several, and so we are available 24/7 for these agencies and for these nurses to call us if they do run into a problem, because we want to make sure that we give them the right information. But one of those could be, if they are a minor, that's a mandatory report crime, so they have to report that to law enforcement. So we have to make sure that those are being reported. In the state of South Carolina, if the survivor is over the age of 18 and they are competent and they do not want to report to law enforcement, they don't have to. They can have what we call an anonymous kit done. And so we would collect that evidence while it's still there. And then that survivor would have a year to change their mind to decide if they do want to, pursue law enforcement. Because sometimes pursuing law enforcement can be a lot, going through the criminal justice process and going through all those things and putting that victim on the stand can be a lot. So that's a lot for them to have to come forth and do after what's happened to them.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that the agencies know that they have that opportunity, so law enforcement doesn't feel like they have to have that information on that victim or, those sorts of things. So there's been issues as far as, unfortunately, victims having to travel very far distances to obtain evidence collection, or being turned away altogether if the hospitals don't provide the services. So it's very important that everybody kind of knows their role and how they can best support these victims during this time.
Yeah. It's hard enough when you are involved in a situation that so many of these victims are involved with. It's hard, but it's even harder. I would imagine that certain trauma affects a victim's memory, how they respond to things, their ability to communicate, what exactly happened to them. Talk with us about how this training and you guys help the victims sort of overcome this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, whenever you're experiencing something like a sexual assault, your body's going to go into either fight, flight, freeze mode. So that looks different for everybody. What trauma looks different for every single person. And so what may be extremely traumatic for one person may not be that traumatic for another person. But when we are in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, your brain is not working properly to store memories, because your brain is trying to keep your body safe. It's in survival mode. So when your body is trying to come out of survival mode, it's really hard for it to recall all of the events right away that happened, especially if there was something like a drug-facilitated assault or a strangulation that happened to occur where they lost consciousness. Then their memory lapses are going to be even more significant. So to say that maybe they're putting pieces together and they don't recall all of the events right away, if law enforcement or whoever were to say that may negate their story, would be extremely harmful and not trauma-informed at all for these survivors when they're speaking with them.
Yeah.
So when they come into the hospital setting, as a nurse, we try to ask, the questions one time, like when we're talking with them, and then to try to not have them have to recant their story 4, 5, 6 times to everybody that they come into contact with, and just relive those events. If we can help not have to do that, that's definitely what we want to do.
Yeah, makes sense. Amanda, let's get back to the Fountain Inn Police Department just recently receiving the SAFE designation. If you would, kind of go through the training, the specific training, the standards that a department has to complete in order to earn the SAFE designation.
So we created the training. It's a 2-hour training that we created on the topics that I already mentioned, which would be like what's in the kit, how to care for those victims, how to preserve evidence, human trafficking, strangulation, all of those. And for a while, we were going to the different agencies and actually doing the trainings for them in person. But we have a lot of law enforcement agencies, and we wanted to extend our reach. So we were lucky enough to have the Criminal Justice Academy allow us to come and record the training for the law enforcement officers and put it into their database, where it has like a post quiz, as well as they're not able to fast forward. And we can really track the numbers better as to how many have actually taken the training and how many have completed the training, and have an understanding of what we're looking for when it comes to a SAFE designation. So after their agency has completed the training, then they'll reach out to us and apply. We meet with them to make sure that they understand, what all of this means and the standards that we expect to hold them to, in making sure that they are being trauma informed, that they do have a point person for the kit tracking system that launched a couple years ago here in South Carolina. Those sorts of standards that we want to be held in their agency. We meet with them, and then we grant their designation, and then it's good for 2 years.
Yeah.
So recently we've been doing these at like city council meetings and county council meetings, because it brings that agency a lot more publicity to show that they are going above, because this is not required.
Sure.
But we did just start recording the training, and it got pushed out probably the 1st of March. And I'm happy to say that a little over 4,000 officers have now completed the training.
Oh, wow.
Just through that system. So
wow.
That's huge.
That is huge. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
From your experience and just working with agencies, law enforcement agencies all around the state, can you talk with us about how the trauma-informed approach actually helps investigations and hopefully improves the outcome for the victims?
Absolutely. Well, you got to think whoever they first see is going to make such an impact.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to make sure that our boots on the ground people, those first responders, all of those people are the ones that know how to treat these victims and how to care for these victims and develop that rapport, and not come in and be like, well, why were you here? And why were you doing that? Really asking those open-ended questions and allowing them to kind of be able to tell you their story without questioning them on all the things that have taken place. And just kind of allowing them to be there and just kind of hear them out, and not necessarily creating a verdict. As the same nurse, we have to have an unbiased opinion. So when we go in there, we can't say yes or no, this is what happened or this isn't what happened. We're there to kind of treat that patient, treat that survivor medically, make sure that they're medically sound, make sure that they're, healthy and healed from this. But it's a different kind of approach that we have to take. And so it makes the three of us, the law enforcement, the nurse, and the advocate that works with that survivor, it makes them all three a very huge component, but also very different. So a lot of the times those three work together like in a multidisciplinary team, and it works really well together to ensure that they're getting kind of a holistic approach. Right.
I mean, I would imagine that trust between law enforcement, the community, everyone involved, it is a big factor, because I would imagine too that victims are sometimes afraid to come forward.
They are. They are afraid to come forward, and you do hear of the stories where they were told that, well, you shouldn't have been there, or you shouldn't have been doing that, or you shouldn't have been using that substance, or you just drank too much, or any of those things. And it doesn't matter what that victim was doing. It does not give anybody the right to touch them inappropriately or do things to them inappropriately that they do not consent to, nor do they want.
Yeah. Again, Amanda White is my guest today with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. What does this designation say about the leadership of Fountain Inn and all the other agencies around the state who have opted to get this designation?
I think that it speaks volumes of just making sure that they want to kind of break that stigma that's been associated with law enforcement. And they do want to try to break that cycle of making sure that they are trauma informed and that they are being there for the victim, and that, cops get so much bad publicity nowadays in the news. So to give them something positive and to have a positive turnaround as they're really trying to go above and beyond and to do the right thing for the survivors and their community, I feel like that speaks a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the agencies also, while the requirement is 75%, like we want at least 75% of their agency to be trained, the majority of the agencies are requiring 100%. So they're even going, as well as it being voluntary, they're also ensuring that they go above even the 75% that we're requiring, and making sure that all of their agencies take it.
Now, you mentioned, Amanda, that 4,000 or so have done the training. How does that, as far as the number of agencies around the state, and I have no clue how many law enforcement agencies we may have, but is there a growing interest in from agencies to get the SAFE designation?
There definitely does seem to be some. I still think that we're kind of under 20 right now in the state. There is a map on the SCVAN website. If you go to scvan.org, and then there is a SAFE designation, there will actually be a map that's got the pins for all of the agencies, whether it be hospital, law enforcement, EMS, fire, or advocacy. All of them are listed on that map. And so I definitely do think that making that training available in their law enforcement ACADA system has really kind of increased the amount of numbers that we're able to get, and hopefully will increase that response. I want to say that they said there was like a little over 12,000 officers that we could potentially reach. So we're almost halfway there. So that's huge.
Again, that website is scvan.org, scvan.org. If Amanda, if someone who's listening to us today needs help, needs resources, or simply just doesn't know where to turn, talk with us about those first steps. Can they go to your website? Do they contact maybe law enforcement in their area, or what's that process look like?
Yeah, so there's different avenues that they could take. You know, they could contact law enforcement in their area. They could contact, if it does happen to be a sexual assault or any of those, they could contact their local rape crisis center, wherever that is to them. But there's also, info@scvan.org. That will just give you basic information about anything. So if there is somebody that's looking for resources in their area, they could email that, and then we will be happy to connect them with any local resources that we can.
Yeah. And one final thing for you, Amanda, what message would you leave with survivors, with victims who may still be hesitant to speak up or to seek help?
Definitely just know that there's people out here fighting for you, that there's people out here fighting to make sure that you guys are treated, how you should be, and to make sure that, justice is served for you all.
Yeah. Amanda White with the South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. Again, that website, scvan.org, scvan.org. Thank you for what you guys do, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. One of the biggest challenges facing South Carolina right now is making sure our students are truly prepared for their future, not just academically, but financially, professionally as well. As new industry and businesses continues to move into our state, there's a growing need for young people to understand real-world skills like budgeting, leadership, teamwork, and entrepreneurship. That's exactly where Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina is stepping in through hands-on programs like BizTown, Finance Park, Stock Market Challenge. They're helping tens of thousands of students connect what they learn in the classroom to the real world. Joining us today on our guest line, Angel Malone, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina. Welcome. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So for people who may not be familiar with Junior Achievement, just give us that big picture, the 30,000-foot view of what your organization is trying to accomplish in South Carolina.
Yeah, so Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina spans the entire state, and our sole focus is on preparing young people for success in work and in life through financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship. We find ways to engage them so that they're better citizens once they graduate from high school, as well as our program, which spans K through 12. And we currently serve over 40,000 students across the state of South Carolina and are trying to expand that reach. And our goal is to educate students academically and also to help them see a future for themselves beyond being in high school.
Yeah, wow, 40,000 students. That's a big number. Yeah. What are you seeing from students today when it comes to career readiness and financial literacy?
So I will say that the students that are in school right now, they give us hope. They're very bright, they're very sharp thinkers, and they have a lot of tools and resources at their fingertips. However, there is that gap in being career ready, having the ability to collaborate with others, to critically think, and to be able to problem solve and to re-engineer, to make something better. And so that is our job, is to work with them on those thinking skills, those processing skills, so they're ready for the world of work. And then we just don't want them to earn a great salary, but we want them to have financial literacy so that they can save and that they have a viable life as a citizen here in South Carolina.
Yeah. One of your phrases in your mission is that students need exposure, experiences, and opportunities. Why are those three things important?
Oh, wow. So there are times that students will learn something in a classroom, and I'm an educator of 25 years, and they cannot understand how it applies to the real world. But when you provide that exposure, you give students an opportunity to dream from possibilities. And sometimes that's a little bit different. It's a reframe from what may be their home life status. And then also giving them experience allows them to build their acumen for business. They're able to feel confident and comfortable around their peers as well as those that are mentoring them, which makes them globally competitive. And so we know that they need the exposure, they need that experience every single day. And so that's one of the things that we do is we like to build that. We like to build them in those areas, give them those opportunities that sometimes otherwise would not be there. And what we have found is that through that, we've been able to not only change and sometimes enhance their trajectory, but also the generational trajectory of their families.
Yeah. You know, Angel Malone is my guest today. She's president and CEO of Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina. You know, we hear from employers that young people need more durable skills like communication, adaptability, teamwork. As a former educator and being with a Junior Achievement, do you see that schools maybe struggle a little to teach those skills?
Yes, sometimes because we also have the balance of ensuring that we have students prepared for testing. And then as our world expands, as opportunities expand and their accessibility to so many things, sometimes there are other challenges that come into play, such as the use of social media. So we're competing with these things. And what we found is sometimes, even though the platform of social media, the essence is to be social, we find our students not being able to have those conversations and collaborate with others. They're used to texting and using 40 characters or less. And so being able to expand their thought, hold their attention at the same time, and give them the experiences necessary so that they are competitive with the world, not just where they are, but with the world. Sometimes that is a task for schools in balancing all of that together with those competing technologies and just competing interests that they have.
Yeah. Angel, let's talk about some of the JA programs. And let's start with BizTown because that just sounds fascinating to me. What exactly happens when students walk into that simulated city environment?
Wow. So students are learning how to absolutely run their own town. There's a lot of civics engagement because students learn how to vote. There's a mayor, and they have town hall meetings. The BizTown is set up with our business partners and their real business partners within the state of South Carolina, one of them being United Community Bank, which is a prominent one. And so they have their businesses located in the town, and these students come in, and some of them are the CEOs, they're the CFOs. Then you have those that are working, and you also have those that are helping with the radio station, with announcements, and every child gets a debit card with a certain amount on there, and they're able to go shopping through the town. So they learn about financial literacy, they learn how to save, some of them do not, and that's a hard lesson to learn as well. And then they get the hope through exposure of the possibility that one day they too could be a CEO. So it's an amazing process to see these young kids in elementary school come in, take over, and they learn great oratorical skills because they have to speak to the people within the town in front of all of us. Yeah. So it's an amazing experience.
What would you say surprises students the most when they suddenly have to operate as a local business owner or a banker or be mayor of the town?
So I believe that one of the biggest aha moments for them is that even though they're making this money, there are responsibilities such as paying their utility bill or getting the medicine that they need from the pharmacy or paying for food and actually going to shop for their snacks that they want. And so for them, there is now a value to what mom and dad or someone in the family may have purchased for them and there was no value. They just knew they got it. Now they have that strong sense of, oh, I'm earning this for myself.
Yeah. Angel, I appreciate your time today and appreciate what you guys do. My guest today is Angel Malone, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina. If someone who's listening today is interested in being involved in this, what's the best way to reach you?
So they can go to our website at JA Greater SC. That is our website. If you type that in, it'll come right up for you. We ask people to come and help us with volunteering in classrooms with the local JA area. Within your area, we'll connect you. But if you go to our website, you can volunteer that way. Or if you're a corporate representative, you can become a corporate sponsor and support these programs. I will say that the funding that is provided is due in totality because of the corporate sponsors and great heroes within our community that see this as a valuable resource for our children to expose them to even greater possibilities.
Yeah. And let me add, as someone who has been involved as a local community business person over the years, it is a great experience for those of you adults to kind of, it can be eye-opening at times, but to go into schools and to go to some of these programs and just interact with these kids, it's really a very fulfilling experience for the business person as well. Now let's continue talking about some of the programs. Walk us through the JA Finance Park. As I understand it, it teaches students about budgeting in the real world. How eye-opening is it for teenagers when they start dealing with things like housing costs, insurance, transportation, and being able to save a little money at the same time?
Right. So I tell you what, the way that you start Finance Park is asking them what they want when they envision their lives. And some of them will say they want Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they want to live on the lake and have a house, a beach house, and so forth. And they say all the things that they want. And then we ask them what career they'd like to go into, and they make that career choice. And once they find out what that average salary is, and they compare that to what it is they want, sometimes it's very eye-opening to know that, oh, okay, wait a minute, I can't afford that. Or, okay, this is what I need to do to get there to afford that. And then it also takes into account making sure you're building proper credit so that you can afford the house and the transportation you want. And how much is exactly what I need to save? What does that equate to in dollars and cents? And can I really afford this lifestyle that I'm dreaming of? So we actually put some practicality to it and then give them a roadmap as to how to get there if that's something they want.
Yeah. We often hear adults, Angel, who say, I wish somebody had taught me that in school. Are you finding students are hungry for this kind of practical financial education?
Absolutely, they are. And as I said, kids have so many resources at their fingertips, and there is a fabulous lifestyle that is presented through social media, which most of the children have access to. And so what we find is that when we say, well, if this is your goal, here's how you work towards that goal. What we're trying to do is give them the why. So I know as a student in school, when I was in calculus, I said, why do we need to know this?
Yeah.
And some students are saying that about math, English, science, and social studies. Why do we need to know this information? Well, when you put that goal that they want to attain in life, their lifestyle, it gives them the why as to how they push forward and also a roadmap to get there.
Yeah. Now, one of your newest programs, I guess, is the Stock Market Challenge. Now, that is a lot of fun, not only for the students, but you also, I participated in the adult version of that in the evening where we had business people have their investing teams. And it really, it gives you a real life glimpse at just what the stock market is all about. Tell our listeners about the program.
Right. So students in the day are participating in the stock market challenge, and they're learning about stocks. They're learning about investing. They're learning about the risk versus the reward and how the market fluctuates. And then they're doing it in groups. So they're learning how to work as a team. It is extremely fast paced. And so they have to also learn to have a high emotional intelligence because they are making decisions in real time, and they have to put that together with their timing, their emotions, and their decision making, and seeing how it impacts their financial outcomes. In the evening, the adults actually participate in the stock market challenge, and they are competing against the students. So it's extremely fun on both ends for the students to learn about stocks and investing, and then some adults who may not have an understanding of that to learn also and compete against the students, and one will win.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, interesting is that the students, they learn how emotions and timing can affect those financial decisions. And look, that's a lesson that the adults still struggle with, those who invest in the stock market. And what a great exercise to teach these kids and the adults, about the stock market in real life.
Yes.
Yep. So, all right, so let's talk a minute. We have a few minutes left here, and with me is Angel Malone with the Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina. Talk with us about what you have on the horizon, maybe programs that you're looking at, some other newer programs, and what's next for Junior Achievement.
So we're excited about a new program that we are rolling out beginning August 2026, so for the new school year. And that is our 3DE school model. That's 3D education. And we're launching in Horry County beginning this fall with Conway High School. And then in the next year, we'll launch with North Myrtle Beach High School. The 3DE program is a transformative school model that brings in business and industry, and students are actively engaging in cohorts from 9th to 12th grade. So over 4 years, they're in this program, and they are engaging with business and industry and actually solving real problems. So, for instance, with Delta, which is one of our national partners, they may solve the problem or try to enhance or refine the gate experience when you're going to the gate to check in for your flight. And so these are real world problems that students are working with our national partners as well as local corporate sponsors within their local area. So those business and industry partners also get a chance to see the untapped talent in those students. And it can become a great recruiting opportunity, not only for the students to show their talents, but also for those corporations in that local area to be able to look at those kids and recruit them as well.
Yeah. Sounds very exciting, and I can't wait to watch this as you roll it out. Angel, one more time, tell our listeners how to get in touch and find out more information about how they can be involved in Junior Achievement.
So you can actually search by putting in Junior Achievement of Greater South Carolina, or go to our website at www.greatersc.ja.org.
And that's greatersc.ja.org, and they have all their programs on there. And I promise you that if you get involved in Junior Achievement, that you're going to love it. Maybe you have a child in school, or you have a grandchild in school that you want their school to be involved as well. It's just a great program. They do good work around the state. Angel, thank you for your time today, and good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. That's it for this special weekend edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.